Hey guys, Dwayne here. Wanted to talk to you today about narcissists that sabotage things, special events for you and your significant other, or just for you. And I'm going to be talking about that in the context of a covert narcissist. So somebody who isn't necessarily really overt about it, and they're subtle about it. And the problem with covert narcissists is that they do things under the radar. Once you know how to look for them and you know what's going on, it's pretty clear what's going on. But for a victim of it, like your kids or any somebody else who's not suspecting of it, it's really tough because it's very, very subtle, and it's just little comments. And so I was talking about an event with somebody about an event that happened a couple of years ago, and this was the kind of an example of what I'm talking about. So it was a beach trip. We're in sunny Southern California, so it was summer, trying to plan stuff for the kids, and took the kids on a one-day beach trip, and they got a little bit sunburned. Well, actually, I guess one of them got a lot sunburned, but and it was not a big deal. At the beginning, it was kind of a joke, and whatever, not a big deal. But we had another trip planned for the beach that we were going to spend a few days down there, do a whole bunch of stuff, and this is the type of stuff that happens. And it's subtle, right? And it's veiled in being reasonable. Meaning, even if you try to say, hey, knock it off, it's like, well, what am I doing? Why are you saying that? I'm just trying to be, I'm just making an observation. And, okay, so let me get to the point. The point is, had a decent time, kids go to their moms for a little bit. They come back and it's like, oh my God, I'm allergic to the sun. I got 3rd-degree burns. I never want to go to the sun again. I don't like the beach anymore. That whole thing. And we had spent a bunch of money getting ready for this trip, buying stuff for it, the hotel rooms for a couple of days. I mean, we were trying to do it on as much of a budget as possible, but still be able to do something really cool. And these two events happened differently, and I had told the kids about the trip that we were going to do, so they knew about it. So that information was free flowing. So, but this is what happened. Subtle comments will be made to kind of diminish the excitement of it. Well, I hope you don't get sunburned more. Okay, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not entirely sure what was said, but what I will tell you is we went from being excited about the trip. Everybody was looking forward to the trip. We had a whole bunch of things we were going to do, and as it got closer, the excitement went away, and it turned into more, well, I'm allergic to the sun, I don't want to go, it won't be any fun. It turned into, it took the shine off of the whole event. Now, it went well. I mean, we did it. I had to have a heart-to-heart with the kids and say, okay, knock it off. A lot of effort and time has been put into this. Stop it. And that did. I mean, that helped. I mean, prior to that time, it was just, complain. I don't want to do it and stuff like that. So, and ultimately, I mean, so for this particular trip, ultimately it went fine. We went. We had sunscreen. We had the appropriate swim attire, and had a good time. Spent one day on the beach. Did some stuff around the town. One place was playing a movie in the park, actually in their parking lot, which seemed a little weird, but I mean, hey, it was a lot of fun. I mean, and the kids had a good time, and everything went well. But leading up to that, there were little bombs placed to try to sabotage the event. Now, that doesn't, it doesn't mean, like I said, it wasn't overt. And I think that even if I was to have a conversation, it's veiled in, reasonableness. Well, I was just concerned because she got sunburned, and I was worried that it was going to happen again because, you're so horrible that you let it happen in the first place, or whatever. But you're going to notice a pattern, that will happen on a lot of different events. Another example that I have a few, but this one is kind of interesting. Graduation thing for one of my kids. They were graduating elementary school, and they were having a school trip. The school trip was to Universal Studios. And I had switched my job around a little bit so that I could spend some more time. To give me some more flexibility, I had switched positions to where I had a little bit more time to be able to take time off to do things with the kids. And I had signed up to volunteer at the school. I had done everything to where I got all the tests, to where I could, volunteer for school functions. So I'm like, hey, now the main, okay, so the part of this story is, money's really tight, right? And this trip isn't free, and that's being asked about, hey, can I go? And I'm like, I don't know, trying to figure it out in the budget. Hey, can we do halfy thing? Will your mom pay half? Ask that question, no answer. Sorry, I don't have any money, and I wasn't using my kid to do this, but, just getting nothing. So I finally am like, okay, it's a bit major party. I'm going to do it. So I wrote the check, looking at the form, and I'm like, I can go. And I go to my child, and I'm like, hey, I can be a chaperone. And they're like, oh, wow, that's so amazing. That's awesome. I'm like, that is great. I'm going to, no problem. I'll take leave. The ticket for the parent was a little bit less. I'm like, awesome. So I'm going to do it. I give her the stuff to pay for her trip, put my name in the hat to go as a chaperone. And you can probably already figure out what's going to happen next. Child was, my daughter was excited, yay, daddy's going to go. And I'm like, hey, this is going to be cool, I'll get to do it. It'll be fun. And a couple weeks later, hey, mommy wants to go. Great, mommy can go too. I don't care, not a problem. I mean, I don't really want to spend time with her, but I'm like, hey, not a problem. I don't care. Good, she can come. Next day, hey, she won't go if you're going. And I'm like, well, that's, not my problem. And then a little bit more time goes by. Well, you don't really like this stuff, and you won't have any fun, and I don't really want you to go. So I'm like, okay, so I bowed out. What do you do, right? I mean, you're being, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about, and so, so what do you do, right? I mean, your kids are in the middle of it. You're in the middle of it. You can't reasonably talk to the person because it's going to be logic. I mean, honestly, okay, full disclosure, I'm not really a big roller coaster guy. I don't mind Universal Studios. That's a pretty cool place. But there are some roller coasters that I'm not, I don't really like, hey, let's go on all the roller coasters. Not my thing. But, hey, technically as a chaperone, you're there to, make sure the kids don't get in trouble, and you're not really part of the group. You're chaperoning, right? So anyways, so what did I do? Well, I wasn't happy about it. I mean, it hurt. And if you're going through the same thing, it is going to hurt. And, I just had to deal with it. And this isn't the only time. I mean, this hasn't, that's not two one-off events. That's not, I mentioned two one-off events. I mean, it's happened over and over and over and over again. And so I guess my point is, you need to be aware of it. If you're dealing with somebody like this is the type of stuff that's going to happen. It's not about, the best interest of the kids. And see, and I've said this before, and I'll try to say it again, and hopefully this makes sense. And if it doesn't, please let me know. I don't necessarily think or believe that it was done maliciously, like, oh, well, he wants to go, so I don't want him to go, so I'm going to say I'm going to play this game to do it. No, I think it was more of, wow, that sounds like fun. I don't have to buy your ticket, and the parent ticket is cheaper, so I don't, you've already been paid for, so I want to go, and I want to go because it'll be fun, right? Which it would have been. My daughter had a great time. The pictures were awesome. Anyways, because it was all about her, right? It was all about the narcissist. It wasn't about, the child, the daughter. It was about, oh, this will be cool. I want to do this. Now, what I like to call the gift with purchase is that I ended up paying for the whole thing. Well, not her part, but I paid for my daughter to go. And, I didn't go because I wasn't going to go just to chaperone other people, if I was going, I wanted to chaperone, my daughter's thing. And, so that's the type of stuff that happens. And it's super subtle, right? I mean, because so even if I was to make a comment about it, it's like I said, full disclosure. I don't like roller coasters. Well, you don't like roller coasters. You wouldn't have as much fun as I would have. So, why would you want to go? And so that's kind of an example of the covert narcissism thing where they are able to do that, and it'll happen time and time again. And what messes with your head is it's veiled in like a pseudo logic. And this is the reason why when you were with the person, they were able to do things like that to you on a regular basis and manipulate your thinking and what you were doing and where you were coming from and stuff like that. So how do you defend it? How do you defend yourself against it? Well, and I've had conversations with even professionals about this, and they're like, well, you can't put your child in the middle. Okay. And you should be able to go if you're going to go. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But if you get to the point where your kid has been manipulated to basically be begging you not to go, what do you do? What, do you go and ruin the whole event? Do you back out? I've backed out. Now, and this is the weird dynamic that's happened, is so one kid has done that type of thing, and when events come up, it's always the mom that takes them. I mean, everything that's come up, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I'll do that. No, mom's, already signed up, already done it, or whatever, or preempted it, or even if it didn't preempt it, it's like, well, she's decided she wants to go, and she won't do it again. I mean, even just saying it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? It's like, I mean, it's not funny because okay. After a while, it will it's so idiotic that it becomes, I mean, maybe it's just because what do? You either laugh or you cry, right? So, I guess maybe, hopefully the takeaway from this is that, if you look at me, at some point, you kind of make peace with it. I mean, it's crazy, it's silly, and it doesn't stop. I mean, that's the crazy part about dealing with a narcissistic person is, it's not just pure vindictiveness, I mean, because at some point you get tired of that, right? But if you're dealing with somebody like this and you're interconnected with them with kids, it's never going to, it's just going to continue on. So the only thing you can do is you can figure out a way to deal with it yourself. Now, I will say this, as time progressed on, whenever my daughter, the junior high school trip came up, and I'm like, look, your mom's probably already going to go. I'm not paying for it. You know what? I don't want to hear about it. Don't talk to me. Just it's off the table. You're not saying you want me to go, so And, and maybe that's not, the right way to deal with it. But at the same time, when money's tight, what do you do, right? You can't afford everything. So to wrap this up, one of the main thing to remember is, a covert narcissist is really unpredictable. Let me back up. What I mean is they will do things that will blow your mind, that make absolutely no sense, and then then once they've done it, you're like, oh, that makes I see it now. But it's really weird. It's whatever in the moment is right for them, which gives them their supply, is what they're going to do. That's why 1 minute they can be, dismissive or even mean to their child, and then 2 weeks later they can be, oh, we're going to do this and it's going to be so great, and the kids want that attention so bad that they're going to do it. So that's the problem with this scenario, right? If the kids are dealing with that, and the narcissistic parent is giving them attention, they want it. They want it. So they, and if you are the one that's supportive and giving them that safe environment, and they know that you love them and they know that you're going to be there for them, you're probably going to get the brunt of it. So, yeah, that's not really a good way to wrap this video up. But, it gets easier with time. You get to you'll start recognizing it and know what's coming up, what's going to happen. For trips and stuff like that, any special event that's coming up, just think about how they can try to sabotage it with your kids. And what that means is they're just going to try to take the shine off of it. If there's a way they can, point out the negative on it, point out why it's not going to be so great, that's going to happen, and you're probably going to hear it. And I think if you realize it's going to happen and you can mentally prepare yourself for it, then you can kind of protect yourself, and then you can also respond in a more positive way, with your kids, so that they don't, see, here's the flip side to it. The other thing is they're subtly sabotaging it, because the narcissist wants the kids to give them the supply. They want them to be more like, oh, I have more fun with you, and I don't really like this situation over there. I don't like the house. I don't like this. I don't like that. Because they're trying to please the other parent. And if you realize what's going on, like I said, then you have kind of a defensive thing. So when it happens, you are mentally prepared for it, and you can, in a constructive way, try to address it. And what I was going to before, if you don't do that, what happens is then you get upset. You have a confrontation with your kid, which feeds into it's so sad that it's so bad over there, and it's tough. It is really tough when you're in the midst of this and these things are happening, and you feel, and I've talked about this before, and you feel powerless to do anything about it. And see, that just makes the situation worse. That makes your kids more uncomfortable. They're already being subtly manipulated. I'm trying to think of the word, parental alienation and that type of stuff, to where if you do anything like that, it's like validating what the other person is saying about you. And it's like you're being set up. It's kind of like if I come and I poke you, I poke you physically. I poke you. I come by and I poke you in the chest every day, or maybe not the chest, shoulder. We'll say shoulder, because that way it's not so bad. So shoulder, right? First couple times it's okay, whatever. I keep doing it, and then at some point you explode. You get mad and you yell and scream. And I'm like, why are you so upset? Why are you so hostile? Can you see how Julie over here is being so hostile? And if anyone's name is Julie, sorry. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, and no one sees that you've been provoked. But that's the thing. That's what you need to keep in mind. That's what you need to think about. And and if you ever dealt with this in a work situation, it's the same type of thing, right? It's more painful whenever it's personal, and it's your kids, and it's your finances, and it's all those things wrapped in, and it's affecting your your home and family life. So so just kind of beat them at their own game. Realize what they're going to do. Don't let them. Don't take the bait. Don't fall for it. And just try to brush it off. And oh man, it's hard. It's hard. I am not trying to downplay and say that this is easy. It's not. It's not easy. It's taken me a long time to be able to work through this, work through the anger, work through just I don't even know, like the haze of you're not the disbelief that you've even actually dealt with it, okay? And you have to process that, right? That takes everyone a set amount, their own time. I think these videos and the other videos that other folks have made help because you realize, one, that you're not alone. Two, you're not crazy. This isn't some mind game in your own head, because you're going to feel that way, and you've already probably felt that way. And it's real. You are experiencing this. This is real. This is happening to you. This is happening to your kids. I'm getting my fingers all mixed up. But it's and that helps, right? When you're going through it and you don't get it, and you're trying to rationalize what's happening, and then what happens is you think, well, they must be doing this to get back at me, because nobody would do this to their kid. Nobody. So they got to be so mad that's making them irrational, and that's not the case. It's all about them in the moment. So just remember that. God, if I could have figured that out earlier on, I would have been much better off. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up. So I haven't said this in a while, so I'm going to say this. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you like the channel, please subscribe. Comment. We've been getting some comments below, and I really appreciate the feedback and other people's stories. If you have some critique how I could do things better, send me a site message. It's a little weird on YouTube, but there's a way to do it. Because I think I have some folks who've subscribed. I've actually said thank you for subscribing emails or site mails. So would love to hear from you guys. The feedback helps me to feel like I'm actually doing something positive. Otherwise, why am I doing this? So bottom line is I don't want somebody to have to endure this, a moment longer than I had to. And I wish that the day that I left, somebody would have pulled me aside, handed me a book, a YouTube link, and I would have been able to know what I was dealing with right from the bat. That would have helped me out. That would have set me farther ahead sooner. It would have helped with my recovery, and I'm hoping that this stuff is helping you. Maybe you've gone through this more and you're farther along, and this is just reiterating what you already know. If you know somebody who is going through the same type of thing, share the channel with them. There's some other good sites where they're starting to talk about going no contact with somebody you can't. Because a lot of people don't really have the experience. Well, they have the experience of dealing with it, so I don't want to say that, but they haven't personally had the experience of dealing with this with kids involved, and it changes the whole dynamic. And at some point, maybe I'll start listing the sites. I'm a little reluctant to do that because I don't want to step on anyone else's toes or anything like that. So maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. So all right, I hope you appreciate this video. I appreciate you for sticking around if you stuck around towards the end. And you know what, guys? It gets better. It does get better. Just stick with it. Keep yourself calm, and And it'll get better. You'll get better. You'll be able to deal with this in a lot better way. I know it. I know it. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good day. Talk to you later. I'll talk to you on the next one. All right, bye.